They said the ground didn't just shake, it screamed. Not in the way a tremor passes under your feet, but like something alive beneath the crust had clawed toward the surface. By the time Nolan arrived in Greyfield, the town was already half empty. Cracked roads, leaning street lamps, and buildings with their windows taped in frantic X's. Yet what disturbed him most wasn't the silence. It was the buzz, a low, steady hum in the air, like distant machinery under the dirt. He wasn't there by accident. Greyfield had been quiet for decades until last week's quake, a 6.7, centered directly beneath the old high school, now a splintered skeleton of steel and concrete. Local news called it a fluke. Scientists blamed a hidden fault line. But Nolan had been tracking the signals. The first came from the mountain years ago, faint pulses in the Earth's magnetic field. Then came the dreams. People in neighboring towns reporting the same images. A tunnel of stone, a red door, and a sound like teeth grinding in the dark. Nolan was no stranger to unexplainable events. He'd spent 10 years studying seismic anomalies that never fit any model. But Greyfield was different. This wasn't a natural disaster, it was a message. He stood before the collapsed school, dust swirling like mist around his boots. The building had been sealed off by police tape, but it hung loose, flapping like a warning someone tried to erase. He stepped inside. The moment he crossed the threshold, the buzzing intensified. His compass spun wildly in his pocket. Flashlight in hand, he moved through the debris. Desks broken in half, ceiling panels on the floor like fallen leaves. Then, in the gymnasium, he found the crater, 10 feet wide, circular, perfect, as if something had drilled upward, not fallen in. At its center, a metal plate, old, rusted, embedded into the earth. Strange symbols carved along the edges, not letters, not numbers, more like waveforms, frequencies. He knelt, brushing away dust. His fingers trembled. As he touched the plate, a jolt surged through him, not pain but memory. Flashes, a city swallowed whole, a voice whispering a name he didn't recognize. Tethros. The ground beneath him pulsed. Suddenly lights flickered above. Impossible, since the building had no power. The scoreboard blinked. 03:06 a.m. Nolan stumbled back. The metal glowed faintly blue. Something beneath was awake. Outside, the wind picked up. Dust spiraled like tiny tornadoes. The sky turned the color of ash. From the tree line, someone watched. Nolan didn't sleep that night. He barely left the school. He spent hours sketching the symbols, recording the hum from beneath the plate, and noting each time the lights flickered. They always blinked at the same minute. 03:06. He returned to his rented motel on the edge of town, a place that smelled like mildew and old secrets. On his laptop, he uploaded the recordings, and that's when he saw it. The hum, when visualized, formed a shape, a spiral, a signal. He enhanced the audio. Buried deep in the frequencies was a voice, not speaking but repeating a sequence, numbers, coordinates, a location just north of Greyfield, deep in the forest. He packed his gear before dawn. Fog clung to the trees as he made his way up the unmarked trail. The compass in his pocket twitched occasionally, like a heartbeat. After an hour, he found it. A clearing, empty except for a single stone monolith, covered in moss and old carvings. At the base of the stone, a metal hatch. It was identical to the plate in the school. He hesitated, then placed his hand against it. The hum returned, louder this time. The hatch creaked open, revealing a narrow tunnel that spiraled downward. With flashlight and rope, he descended. The tunnel walls were smooth, unnaturally so. No signs of tools or erosion, just clean stone, lined with faint symbols that pulsed as he passed. He didn't question the light. He should have, but it felt natural down there, like the earth wanted him to see. At the bottom, a chamber, vast, silent. In the center, a sphere hovered above the ground, spinning slowly. Cracks ran along its surface, and from within, light pulsed like a heartbeat. He stepped closer. The sphere responded. From it, a voice, female, calm, mechanical. Initiate recognized. Cycle disrupted. Earthwave protocol active. The ground trembled. Nolan staggered back. The chamber shook. Dust fell from above. The quake was not an end. It was a signal. A panel opened beside him, revealing a row of screens. One showed Greyfield from above. Another showed seismic maps, all pulsing with red warnings. One showed a timer, 6 hours, 42 minutes. He backed away, heart pounding. The voice continued, "Your presence has accelerated reactivation. Quarantine compromised, surface breach imminent." He turned to run, but the chamber's only exit sealed shut. "Please remain calm. Collapse is necessary." As the shaking intensified, a final message echoed. "You are not the first. You are not the last." The cycle continues. Then the lights went out. The station was nearly deserted when Mia returned that night. A fine mist clung to the ground, curling around her ankles like smoke from an unseen fire. Midnight was minutes away, yet the clock above the departure board had frozen at 11:58. Still, the second hand ticked on, as if time itself had refused to move forward, only around. Mia moved past the turnstiles. No one stopped her. The security booth was empty, and even the vending machines flickered as though they were caught in some electric dream. She looked at the black card in her hand. No instructions, no map, just the symbol, that ever-watching eye. At the far end of the platform list, there it was. A faded metal sign, half obscured by a tarp. Platform 0. She stepped beyond the railing, past the warning signs, and into the unknown. Down a short flight of stairs and through a rusted door, she entered a long, narrow tunnel lit by flickering bulbs. The air was thick, metallic, charged with anticipation or dread. At the end of the tunnel, the space opened into a platform she'd never seen before, wide and dark. A single train waited there, matte black with windows too dark to see through. No conductor, no sounds, just the low hum of something ancient and alive. As she approached, she saw others, 6 figures spaced evenly apart, each holding the same black card. Their faces were blurred like static on a screen. When she looked directly at them, they shimmered, as if not quite there. One by one, they entered the train. A voice echoed from nowhere. "Please board for resolution." Mia hesitated, then stepped inside. The interior of the train was unlike anything she expected. Each cabin seemed to be its own reality. One showed a burning house, another a forest with no end, another a version of her apartment in reverse. She walked past cabin after cabin, finally stopping in front of one that looked like her childhood bedroom. She stepped inside. The light was warm. Familiar toys sat on shelves. The bed was made. On the desk was a VHS tape labeled Mia 001. She picked it up. The label on the back read, "You chose to forget. Will you choose again?" There was no player, no screen, just a mirror on the wall. As she stared into it, the mirror rippled and showed another Mia. Older, hair graying, eyes haunted. That version stared at her and whispered, "You're not real. I'm the original." The cabin went black. When the lights returned, Mia found herself standing in a control room. Screens surrounded her, each showing different versions of herself. Some happy, some broken, some dangerous. On the largest screen, she saw herself standing in front of the station. A voice, her voice, narrated over the footage. This iteration lasted longer than most. Signs of rebellion early on, memory leakage increasing, termination recommended. Mia stumbled back, shaking. "Who's doing this?" she screamed. "Why me?" A mechanical voice responded from overhead. "You volunteered." Suddenly she remembered, not clearly but in flashes, a clinical office, a signature on a consent form, a voice promising escape from grief, from loss, from self. "You can start again," it had said, "as many times as you need." Was this what she had agreed to? The cabin door opened. The man in the brown coat waited outside. He looked tired now, older, as if the strain of infinite reboots weighed on him. "You weren't supposed to reach this far," he said. "Most don't." "Who am I?" Mia asked, voice trembling. "Whoever you want to be. That's the lie. The truth is, you're already someone else." Before she could respond, the train screeched to a halt. Outside, everything was white, blank, infinite, a reset space. The voice returned. Final choice approaching, reconstruct or awaken. Mia stood at the edge of the train's open door, facing the void. Behind her, the train whispered, "We can make it all go away." Ahead, silence. Mia stepped into the white void. It was blinding, not from brightness, but from absence. No ground, no sky. Just a horizonless plain of nothingness, humming softly like an old machine left running too long. Every step echoed into the infinite. Behind her, the train was gone. In front of her, something shifted. Out of the void emerged a door, not attached to any wall, simply standing alone. It was made of wood, old and painted red, with the number 9 carved into it. A single phrase was etched into the doorframe: "Enter to remember, or walk away and forget." Mia reached for the handle, heart racing. Inside, she found a room frozen in time. A library filled with books that bore only her name, each spine labeled with a number and a date. She pulled one at random. Mia Harper, June 12, 2023. Opening it, she found a journal, handwritten, her own words describing a completely different life. In another volume, Mia Caldwell, November 9th, 2020. Another self, another world, dozens, hundreds. In one corner of the room sat a figure in a rocking chair, cloaked in shadow. As Mia approached, it spoke without moving. "You thought you were unique, but you're a variable." "What is this place?" she asked. "The archive," the voice replied, "where all versions come to rest. You were supposed to be cataloged weeks ago." Mia backed away. "No, I still have questions. I want answers." The figure finally stood. It had her face. Not similar, identical. "You came too far," it whispered, "and now you'll take my place." With sudden speed, the figure lunged, placing a hand on Mia's chest. She felt a burning rush of energy flood her body, collapsing her knees. Her thoughts fractured, splintering like glass. Then silence, darkness. A gentle knock echoed through a modest apartment. Mia opened her eyes. She was seated at a kitchen table, sunlight warming her face. A coffee cup in hand, a soft breeze through the window. Peaceful. She looked around. Everything looked normal. A photograph on the wall, her and a man she didn't recognize, smiling on a mountain trail. Another of a dog she didn't remember owning. On the table was a small note in tidy handwriting. "Welcome back. You've been given another chance. Make it count this time." She turned on the TV, static, briefly, then a voice. "This is Platform 0, next departure in 5 minutes." Mia blinked. A flash of red at the corner of her vision. A door, marked with the number 9, slowly closing. She stood up, unsure whether to run or follow. And then, the screen cuts to black. A beat of silence. Then the faint sound of a train horn in the distance.